Good evening. Call this closed session to order for August 11th, 2025. Current time is 5:30. Anna, would you mind calling roll?
Councilmember Beaver.
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Woolsey.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Venable.
Here.
Mayor Thorpe.
Here.
All present.
Do we have any public comments, ma'am?
We do. We have one comment tonight.
Okay.
Donna Snodgrass.
Mayor, before we take public comments, staff is asking to add one item to the closed session agenda, if we could.
Okay.
That item would be conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Anna Sauceda v. George Sardison, California Court of Appeal case number E083758. We received a settlement communication after the posting of the agenda that we need to respond to before the next meeting.
Okay.
That would be the justification. We need a 4/5 vote of the council to add it to the agenda.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second. Oh.
Wow. All right, so who's my second? Judy? Yeah. Are you the second?
I second.
Okay.
Okay.
We have a first and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now we have public comment.
Thank you for allowing the comment, and I'm making some assumptions on what your closed session discussion is going to be about tonight. On July 31st, 2025 was a very good day, not just for me personally, but for the city of Yucaipa. This document was issued validating this document 100% on that date. After years of work, sweat, and tears, and I'm emotional over this because I'm very, very invested in this issue, enduring defamatory remarks and slanderous articles in newspapers and on social media, a neutral, unbiased ruling not only vindicated myself, but city staff and city council. And we all need to thank tonight, some of them aren't here, but our planning department, Ben Matlock, Christian Farmer, Maddie Jordan, and also Fermine Preciado for the work they put in to this document over the years and the abuse they took, personally and professionally. I want to thank Cole Huber for the brilliant argument in court and the briefs. I've read them. Yes, I've read them. All of these folks went above and beyond. They created a document so solid and well written that it stood up in a court of law. I want to personally thank the City Council in the past and sitting today as well. 2 members of the City Council are no longer here because of the same slanderous rhetoric that went on for the last several years. Please let me read some excerpts from this decision that the judge made that stood out to me in his remarks. Concerning the wildfire that was in the case. A Seifert and Keeley summary went to documents on all wildfire ignitions included in the CAL FIRE and Resource Assessment Program database dating back over 100 years. I had no idea that my job in 1977 to 1982 would be part of this. I worked 5 years of this database are my numbers and data that was submitted to Sacramento and collated with the rest of the state. You just never know. Evacuation routes. Petitioner's argument fails that they do not meet their burden. They mischaracterized the findings with respect to the evacuation routes. I'll let you put in another word for the word mischaracterization. This judge is very wise. The general plan, the wine country and the general plan are consistent with each other, and they do meet the RL1 designation as described in the general plan. May I have just a few more minutes, please? I promise it'll be quick.
All right.
Although the petitioner claims the city is playing the court for a fool by fabricating an interpretation, the RL1 designation does say gross acreage, not 1 house per acre. And the wine country specific plan does too. The petitioners are incorrect that the wine country plan is inconsistent with the general plan. claiming there are no written findings of consistency. However, in the appendix, there is a document titled General Plan Consistency. So this was written so solid, this judge saw that. And I've had conversations with other legal folks since this was issued, and they said that even if it's appealed, which I suspect it will be, that it will not be overturned. This decision and this plan is that solid. So thank you, everybody in the staff that endured everything for the last several years. I feel vindicated and validated for all the sleep I lost over this.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have no more comments.
All right, thank you. With that, we'll move into the conference room for the remainder of our closed session items. Current time is 5:36. Ready? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Called to order this regularly scheduled City Council meeting, Successor Agency and Housing Authority meeting for August 11th, 2025. Current time is 7 minutes after 6. Apologize for the delay this evening. With that, I'd like to call Pastor Tim up to do our invocation, followed by our lieutenant to do the Pledge of Allegiance. If I can have everybody stand, please. Is Pastor Tim out there in the foyer? No? Do I have a volunteer that wants to pray for tonight's service or meeting? Come on out, sir. Yes, sir. Right to the microphone, please.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to be together. God, I pray that you would help us to be attentive to one another. We invite your peace into this room. God, I pray that you would give us guidance and wisdom and counsel. And Lord, we are here in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. With that, Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Bieber.
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Woolsey. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Venable.
Here.
Mayor Thorpe.
Here.
All present.
Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, Mayor. On the listed item on closed session, the city council gave litigation direction by a vote of 5-0. On the item that the city council added at the beginning of the meeting, discussion did not conclude on that item. The city council will be reconvening back into closed session at the end of open session, and an oral report will follow at the conclusion of that closed session. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Acting City Manager Fermin, do you have any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda tonight.
Thank you. With that, special presentation by Yaps.
Thank you. My name is Jennifer Hurlbut, and I'm the Executive Director of the Yucaipa Animal Placement Society. I brought my friend Harley here. Harley is a 7-year-old boxer, and he came to us as an owner surrender about 4 months ago. He was in our shelter for a little while, then he went to a foster home and came back. He's very, very friendly, loves other dogs, but will pull me right out of my shoes to go play with them. He also qualifies for the senior discount, being 7 years old. So we have a senior discount, or even one that's more affordable, senior to senior. So if you know anybody looking for a boxer, a big love bug, who thinks he's a lap dog, this guy Harley will be at Yaps, and he's available for adoption. The other things I wanted to mention, just 2 things. First of all, we did receive a Petco Love grant for free vaccinations for dogs and cats. So we vaccinated a little over 350 animals now so far with that grant, and we're looking for places in the community to offer those vaccines to people who are a little bit closer to home. We know some of our senior residents in Yucaipa and some of our low-income areas don't have transportation, and so it's often difficult to get up to our location over by the high school. So tomorrow we are going to be running a vaccine clinic at ServPro over off of Highway 18, Outer Highway 18, and that is from 10 to 2. We can offer those free vaccines to dogs and cats. We also offer low-cost microchips and low-cost Bordetella, and those are definitely needed. The Bordetella helps to prevent kennel cough in dogs, and the microchips make sure that if your pet gets lost, then they're able to find their way back home again. And then finally, just a frequently asked question. A lot of people ask us where we get our animals. The founder, Betty Martinez, in 1957, started the program because she saw a stray dog off of California Street. So her mission that we still uphold today is to accept animals that are homeless, primarily from owners in the community who aren't able to take care of them any longer. Secondly, we rescue animals from the euthanasia lists from local municipal shelters. So our local shelters might be San Bernardino City Shelter and the county shelter at Devore, where Yucaipa animals go. One thing that we found that is challenging is that a lot of animals are exposed to diseases in the shelters. And then once we get them, we spend a lot of time and energy and finances to heal those animals before they can be adopted out. So we don't just do the spay and neuter, but we may have to treat for diseases such as parvo. So recently, we rescued some animals from San Bernardino City Shelter, and a couple of the dogs did test positive for parvo. Well, in the past, parvo has a 50% survival rate. Now there is an antibody for parvo, which raises that survivability to 90%, which is wonderful. However, it is expensive. So it's about $1,500 per pet to save them, to get them that antibody. And recently, we've treated all the puppies that were exposed, which is 15 of them. So that's a big chunk. So we're doing a lot of fundraising. You'll see us out in the community a little bit more. And then also reaching out to try to get animals microchipped and vaccinated in the community so that we're not incurring those expenses and the animals are saved from those diseases. Any questions or anything?
Any questions?
All right.
All right.
Well,
Thank
thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much. And come up and meet Harley and stop by if you get a chance.
Thank you.
you.
All right, next I think we have a presentation by SBCTA over Measure I.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Louis Vidari. I'm with the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority. I'm here tonight to give you an overview and a reminder of who SBCTA is, and especially the role Measure I plays in delivering transportation projects in the city of Yucaipa and throughout the county. SBCTA is the regional transportation planning agency for San Bernardino County's 24 cities, towns, and 5 supervisorial districts. We were established in 1973 as the San Bernardino Associated Governments, the county's Council of Governments, a role we still play in today. And we were designated the county's chief transportation planning agency in 1989. Our governing board consists of representatives from those 24 cities, towns, including Councilwoman Woolsey, as well as 5 county supervisors. Amongst our primary duties, SBCTA is the administrator of Measure I. Measure I plays a pivotal role in the funding, planning, and delivery of projects throughout San Bernardino County. I'd like to play a quick video for you.
San Bernardino County is on the move, and it's thanks in large part to Measure I. First approved by voters in 1989 and again in 2004, Measure I is a half-cent sales tax dedicated to improving transportation across the county, and over the years, it's delivered real results. From extending the SR 210 freeway from LA County into Redlands, to easing congestion and cutting commute times, Measure I has made travel safer, more convenient, and faster for everyone. In our cities and neighborhoods, Measure I dollars have improved traffic signals, upgraded interchanges like SR 60 and Central Avenue in Chino, and repaved local roads like Nisqually Road in Victorville, keeping local streets running smoothly. For public transit riders, Measure I brought the introduction of Metrolink to San Bernardino County, expanded bus routes, the introduction of zero-emission bus and train options, and more accessible transit, connecting more people to jobs, schools, and healthcare. And it doesn't stop there. Measure I also supports bike lanes, pedestrian safety, and planning for future mobility, all while boosting our local economy by creating jobs and supporting construction projects across the region. What's another great thing about Measure I? It's locally controlled. That means San Bernardino County and city leaders decide how funds are spent rather than being directed by outside agencies. Because of Measure I, transportation in San Bernardino County isn't just keeping up, it's moving forward. Moving forward together with Measure I.
A little history about Measure I, as the video indicated. It's the countywide half-cent sales tax dedicated to transportation projects throughout the county. It was passed in 1989 to fund projects from 1990 to 2010. It was overwhelmingly renewed in 2004 to fund transportation projects from 2010 to 2040. Since 2010, Measure I has raised more than $2.5 billion for transportation projects. It's contributed more than $700 million to local cities for local streets, roads, potholes, and traffic signals. And combined with state and federal funds, Measure I has helped deliver $2.9 billion in regional projects, and most significantly, it's created more than 32,000 jobs. And these figures don't include contributions Measure I makes to public transit agencies like Omnitrans, as well as senior and specialized transit options. Some of the significant regional projects that Measure I has contributed to: the recently completed I-10 truck climbing lane, which we just ribbon cut, and Councilwoman Woolsey participated in and did a fantastic job. State Route 210 extension, Interstate 215 widening, Interstate 10 interchanges at Alabama and University, and the Redlands Passenger Rail Project. Here within the city of Yucaipa, some examples of local projects that benefit from Measure I funding are citywide paving priorities and street rehabilitation projects, widening and other improvements to Yucaipa Boulevard, 5th and 16th Streets, Avenue E, County Line Corridor, and Oak Glen Road. And future projects include pavement rehabilitation projects in the Dunlap area, Uptown area, and Yucaipa Boulevard, as well as the widening of Calamasa Boulevard and pedestrian and bike improvements. One of the key features of Measure I passed by voters was taxpayer protections, including a 1% cap on administrative overhead, a independent Citizens Oversight Committee to make sure that funds are being spent wisely and appropriately, as well as a return to source model which provides cities with reliable and consistent streams of revenue for transportation. Finally, as we look to the future, we want to hear from all of the council members as well as the community members as we plan and craft the next round, the next measure. We want to hear what the community's priorities are. So we encourage everyone to go to gosbcta.com/measureI, take our survey and register your input and let us know what priorities you would like us to focus on in the future. That's my presentation. Be happy to take any questions if you have any.
Thank you, sir. My colleagues have any questions?
No question, but a comment. Thank you for coming. This was a surprise. I didn't know we were going to do this soon. We do have these conversations monthly about Measure I. And they talked about how they were going to be visiting all the different towns. And I did ask, that you come and do a presentation here. So thank you. And the event on Friday was really fun. That was fun.
Well, I think we had gotten on your council agenda a few months ago, so the ribbon cutting event was just
Perfect.
Coincident, but it was perfect timing. We
Yeah.
appreciate council members Venable and Miller for attending
Yes,
as well.
they were there too. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Our last special presentation is on AB 306 update.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this is a brief update regarding AB 306. Just to be clear, AB 306 did not actually pass. The legislature folded AB 306 into the budget bill, AB 130. And I think it's just important that the city council knows what this bill does, because you're going to see an urgency ordinance on your next agenda where we're trying to respond to some of the issues that we're facing here. So what this bill does is from October 1st, 2025 through June 1st, 2031, so the better part of half a decade, the building codes for the state of California, as they relate to residential structures, are going to be frozen. The Commission on Standards, that is the statewide body that adopts the building codes for the state of California, is going to be prohibited from making significant changes to the building codes as they relate to residential structures for the next 6 years. Additionally, there are going to be significant restrictions on the ability of local governments to adopt more stringent standards than the state standards. Historically, the city was required by law to adopt the base model codes, but could make them more strict if local conditions warranted. The state is putting a freeze on that ability. There's going to be certain exceptions for severe health and safety issues, or for standards that are in effect by September 1st, 2025. So we have one meeting before September 1st, 2025, and there is one specific change that staff is going to recommend to the city council that we get on the books. And that is going to be requiring that all newly installed or resited mobile homes have fire sprinkler systems installed. We're going to be prohibited from after that date from implementing issues like that without going through a very strenuous process. But we think that that is an important change that the city council may want to consider. So we're going to be bringing it on an urgency basis at your next meeting. In addition to these frees statewide and locally on building standards for residential structures, there's also what's called a builder certainty rule. So if a model home design is approved by building standards that are in effect when that model home is approved, the builder can continue to use those codes on that model home as they build out the tract, even if new building codes get adopted in the meantime. They're no longer allowed to keep them up to date. Normally, that is a benefit that you only achieve through a development agreement with a city to get that kind of certainty. However, the state of California is going to require that the codes that are in effect when that model home is approved will continue to be the standard to which we apply to all future of those models for 10 years after that model home is applied. The goal here is to speed up residential house production by limiting what the state believes are overly burdensome local additions to the model code. This came up particularly in response to the Altadena and the Palisade fires. The folks who are going to be rebuilding wanted to see some certainty. They have a lot of political clout, and the legislature has responded. But like I said, you're going to be seeing an urgency ordinance for your consideration on your next agenda. We're going to try and get that one change implemented, or at least considered by the council. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Council have any questions? Nope. We're good.
The legislature does this every year. You'll see things that are going through the legislative process suddenly get tacked onto the budget bill and get passed. So this is the one they did this year. We'll be keeping an eye. The legislature reconvenes back into session next Monday. They'll be in session for approximately 4 weeks, during which time they are going to approve a lot of bills. So we will see a lot of what the state legal landscape is going to look like over the next 6 weeks or so. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, sir. And along that lines, I won't bring it up now in detail, but under comments tonight, I've got 2 bills that we're going to ask you about as well. Okay, with that, Madam Clerk, do we have public comment?
We do have public comment. We will start with Richard Frost, followed by Benjamin Vale. Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, Richard Frost, Yucaipa. There's people seen those posters around town that MissingSally.com. Some guy was visiting here from Los Angeles, and I talked to him. He visits here to try to find his dog. He lost his dog here, and they've had sightings all over Yucaipa, but he still can't. They still miss the dog, and he's probably seen his posters everywhere. And I just wanted to bring people's attention to it and that kind of thing. When he was here, he talked to me about it, and then so it'd be nice if he could find his dog. He's visiting here from Los Angeles, and but he says he suspects that somewhere over by the Wishing Well mobile home park on Wildwood Canyon and was it Wildwood Canyon and 5th Street. So anyway, that's.
Thank you, Mr. Frost.
Benjamin Vale, followed by Mary Reuter.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the City Council, my name is Benjamin Vale. I live at 11956 Glacier Court. And I would like to respectfully request that the city consider adopting an ordinance to regulate commercial door-to-door solicitation. While I understand that solicitation is protected in some cases and that businesses rely on outreach, our current city code does not sufficiently protect the peace and privacy of residents, especially those who have clearly posted no soliciting signs. Many in our community have experienced repeated and unwanted visits from solicitors who ignore these signs and disrupt daily life. Some have been aggressive or evasive about their affiliations, creating discomfort and safety concerns for families, seniors, and those who live home alone. Personally, our young children have been woken by loud, uninvited knocking despite clear signage. I've spoken with neighbors and started a conversation on the Yucaipa Bulletin Facebook group, and it's clear this is a shared concern. I respectfully ask the city to examine examples from nearby cities that better balance the rights of residents and solicitors. The city of Claremont has time limits to prohibit evening solicitation and requires all solicitors to register and carry a city-issued ID badge at all times, paying a fee to their police department for cost recovery. Residents there may request to be placed on a do not knock registry, which commercial solicitors must honor. The city of Temecula also requires solicitors to register with the city and has specific language in their code about door-to-door solicitors honoring clearly posted no soliciting signs. These cities have successfully created systems that allow for regulated commercial solicitation and protected non-commercial activity, such as political canvassing or religious expression, while respecting the privacy of their residents. I believe Yucaipa would benefit from adopting similar practices, and that Yucaipa can continue to be a city friendly to business while making these common sense changes that protect residents. A few suggestions to consider. 1, enforcing fines or penalties for solicitors who ignore posted no soliciting signs. 2, implementing a do not knock registry that residents can opt into. 3, requiring visible city-issued ID badges for permitted solicitors for their safety and ours. And 4, improved public awareness about how to report violations and who qualifies as a permitted solicitor. I love living in Yucaipa and appreciate the city's efforts to maintain a safe and peaceful community. I hope the council will take this matter under serious consideration and look into how a more defined ordinance could serve our residents. In addition to sharing this public comment, I have submitted a letter in writing that includes specific references to the Claremont and Temecula codes I have mentioned to assist you. Thank you for your time and service to our city.
Thank you.
Mary Reuter, followed by Linda Witham.
Okay, Mary Reuter, 10060 Carroll Drive. I'm here today speaking on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce. First of all, I'd like to start with thanking council people Bob Miller, Judy Woolsey, Sergeant Ford, and city representatives Fermin, Lise, and Ryan for coming to our Good Morning Yucaipa breakfast on August 7th, and we really appreciate y'all's attendance and participation. Our next meeting will be on September 4th, and surely we want y'all to come. I wanted to bring to the city's attention a book that has been recently published called My Town by Ray Gutierrez. It is a picture book of local businesses. Absolutely beautiful photo that feature a lot of our chamber businesses and small local owners of businesses. I think the city needs to know about this, and people in town can get this book by going to blurb.com, blurb.com. It's an absolutely gorgeous book, and I'm in it. Also, well, yeah. And also, I wanted to talk to the council about the city-sponsored trainings. Every now and then, I receive information that there will be a city-sponsored training, usually from Inland Empire, Orange County Small Business Development Center. I received these only the day before they are scheduled. The ones that I've attended have had very limited attendance, and the last time I went to register, even though I got it the night before, and the registration was already closed. So I'd like to make sure that these notifications are sent out in a more timely manner. And also the chamber would love, and has talked to people about this before, we would love to co-sponsor business trainings with the city. And perhaps if we are notified ahead of time, we can get more people to attend. Okay, 43 seconds. Okay, the chamber is also concerned, because businesses have brought this to our attention, about Autumn Fest. Autumn Fest used to be 3 days. Many of the uptown businesses look very forward to this event because it generates business for them. And now it's only 1 day. That is of great concern. And to end, I would like to thank Service Specialist Courtney Nagel for the wonderful National Night Out. The chamber had a booth. It was absolutely fabulous. And Councilman Miller and Councilmember Woolsey, I saw you there. Thank you.
Linda Witham. I have one more speaker card for item number 15. We'll hear that comment when we get to the item.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, that brings us to councilmen and women have a conflict of interest. This is your time to disclose, if there is one. None? Okay. Consent agenda. Does anybody have any items they want to pull?
Number 6 for discussion, please.
6. Any others? Okay,
I'll move approval on the remainder.
all right, do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay. Those in favor to pass consent item 1 through 5 and 7 through 11?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Item number 6.
Evening, Mayor and Council. So before you, item number 6 is for procurement of a vehicle. Funding for the vehicle was passed in the fiscal 26 budget. This would be for the 2nd battalion chief position as we move towards that 3rd platoon. So this position would require a new command vehicle, which is a pickup truck, which is this purchase, and also a build out with the command box, radios, and all that we utilize to run fires, not just a pickup truck. We utilized Department of General Services, which is the cheapest contract out there for straight purchase through DGS. Current turnaround time is about 90 days, which is far improved from previous years on that, and then it would still have to go to build out on with the command company for about another 4 or 5 months. That's kind of what I have for you. I know we have some other discussion on it, but it's pretty straightforward procurement from us.
So, if I may, relative to the build-out of the vehicle, is that going to come back to us for another additional budgeted item or is that something CAL FIRE foots the bill for?
No, that's all Yucaipa vehicles for Yucaipa positions. So there would be a second for the command portion of it, which would be just over the city manager authority.
So the cost of the vehicle, exclusively just for the purchase of the vehicle, $64,071.79. What do you anticipate the total cost of build out for the command portion of it?
It's I believe 125 is what we have in the adopted budget.
Just for the build out?
For the build out. That's
So then
radios, command box, iPads, all the electronics, the battery savers. There's a bunch of stuff that goes into them, lights, everything. Yeah.
So then as it relates to the radios, I assume it's going to be Motorola, probably what y'all use, right?
So yes. So we have to do both because of mutual aid.
Right.
So we primarily run VHF. So we run 2 Bendix Kings and rear heads because we have the back is really the command portion of it. And then we have 1 Motorola APX 8500 front and back. And then 2 HTs and for the VHF, 1 HT for the 800s. So
please don't misunderstand me. I support this. We need it. I'm all supportive of public safety. What I want to try to find a way is for us to, as a city, as a municipality, find more creative ways to spend our money. For example, the Motorola HTs that I use in my professional career, and I would be willing to wager is probably similar, fully programmed, a brand new Motorola like XTS is like $15,000, something like that, to program 1 radio, right? What I've been experiencing in the last year or so in my professional life is they have a service life for 5 years, but then there's gonna be another Motorola proprietary software update. You got to buy a new asbestos radio. The encryption doesn't apply anymore, and we're doing it again and again and again. To me, it's purchasing these things doesn't make sense when I'd like to look for other options. And so I'm not just suggesting we push this off and don't do it, but I happen to have it on good authority. There is a way out there that other agencies are shifting to. The one I work for has shifted to it. The purchasing of vehicles, especially ones that we know we're going to need this vehicle. It needs to be maintained, and as you use them year over year, the maintenance goes up because it becomes used. And our emergency service vehicles are used hard. Let's be real. It's not driving in the most forgiving of conditions. I've sent yourself, sir, just this evening, and to our acting city manager, documents and brochures from a company that leases emergency service vehicles and government vehicles. It includes in that lease all build out, to include radios, to include all emergency equipment, decals, graphics. On average, it's about a 3-to-1 ratio. You can outfit 3 vehicles on a lease for what it takes to get 1 on a purchase. And because we can lease it for between a term of 3 to 5 years, it maintains a warranty, bumper to bumper and drivetrain for the entire life of that vehicle, which means we're not paying it out of cost for any type of maintenance. So we would see real savings there. What I would like to do, if the council would entertain it, is have this come back to us, but also have city staff entertain looking into this other option. I'm gonna say it, I presented this to the city council where I work. There was a net savings of $230,000 a year to go to all vehicles, assigned vehicles for every police officer from chief to rookie in the city of Azusa on an assigned take-home lease program. Now, obviously, we don't purchase as many vehicles in the city of Yucaipa. However, I think there might be an opportunity for us to realize the leasing of emergency equipment, emergency vehicles, code enforcement vehicles, if we shift to a comprehensive lease program. And it's something that'll happen year over year, long-term budgeting. I'm sure our director of finance would appreciate a locked-in rate for year over year. It may be something that works for other agencies, maybe it doesn't work for us, but I think we would be remiss if we didn't entertain this idea and look for an option to try to save money while capitalizing on the best equipment. The best part of it, when that 3 years, 4 years, 5 years is up, if we decide it's time to get rid of that vehicle, we don't need to be committed to a Motorola XTS 6000 radio that's now obsolete. That's leased, we don't own it. Give us the newest, bestest in the new build. It's included in the cost of the lease now. I think purchasing vehicles in an emergency service, I'm gonna go back to it. This was not a Justin Beaver brainchild. I worked for the Union Pacific Railroad for several years. For everything the Union Pacific did horribly as a police department, and they really did, they're a Fortune 200 corporation for a reason. Everything revolves around the dollar, and there's a reason they don't purchase not a single vehicle for the entire company nationwide. They lease them all because it doesn't make sense to purchase vehicles that lose their return on investment so fast. The last part I'm gonna say, because I'm not working for this company, but I will say there's another benefit to it, is at the end of this term of a lease, the city of Yucaipa rather would sell this vehicle at public auction, and we, the city of Yucaipa, retain the monies for the sale of that vehicle. At 3 years on a lease, on a one person taking care of it, the vehicle can actually be sold for quite a bit of money and roll right back into the program costs. I would like this to happen. I want our battalion chief to have the best equipment. I want our fire department to have the best equipment, but I want to be responsible in our expenditures. So if there's a way we can direct staff to, I'll send all the paperwork I have on, there's a few companies. This one is a GSA vendor that I'm talking about, so it's already government, it doesn't have to go out for competitive bidding because it's a GSA rate. But I would be happy to get all the information and let you guys run with it. It worked for another agencies that I've seen, not just the city I work for. It could work for us as well.
And that's something that, as we briefly discussed, that we looked at those options for rental options too, and the users in the local area have not had success with that, but it was also a company kind of with maybe a poor track record where this seems like it might be a much better option, better fit.
Admittedly, this company that I've been doing business with is not had a lot of, it's growing into California. Primarily it's in the eastern part of the United States and then the Midwest. But it's a large company that does government fleet leasing. And I think it could be something that for our fire apparatus, they lease all kinds of emergency equipment to include drones, all the extrication equipment that these gentlemen would need to pull people from vehicles. All the really expensive line items we see might be something we can include in the cost of a lease of the vehicle and roll over once we purchase. The equipment is purchased that it can be used over and over again. But some of that technologically, I mean, we all bought a VCR, and then we had to buy a DVD player, then we bought a Blu-ray. Now, if you tell somebody you have a Blu-ray player, they laugh at you because technology moves so fast. But we're purchasing it, and we're locked onto it for years. Have to redo it over and over again.
Councilman Beaver, you said the agency you work for now is looking at that program or is using that program?
The city council approved the lease of the vehicles in June of this year, so
it's a new to them program?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
So my beta doesn't work anymore?
Yours might. I'm gonna have a hard time getting people to come and repair it.
Now, is there a mileage thing, and is there stipulations on there that?
So I think it'd be something that our municipality would have to. I would want y'all folks to talk to them and bring us a report. I don't want to report on what I did there. I'm not concerned with that for my agency, but it's something I'd like. Maybe bring us back both options. Hey, we already have this one's ready to go. I don't think it would take too long for y'all to get a quote from this company and bring it forward to us. perhaps even at the next meeting, we can have both of them to decide on and see the, apples to apples, what we're looking at. I don't want to delay too much longer either, because if we're going to realize the position in January, the battalion chief needs to have a car.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't want to drag my feet. I'm certainly not trying to do that. I wasn't aware that this was coming this soon, so I apologize. I would have brought this up a lot sooner. But I saw it, and I want to see if we can find a way to capitalize on some good, wise expenditures.
I would, is that a motion?
So how would that work? Would we just not approve this one as of now and request that you bring it back? I make a motion to have it brought back to us along with any information from a possible comprehensive lease program?
So you could ask to continue the item to the next available meeting, because if you say next available, that gives staff the discretion if they're able to actually get you the data by the next city council meeting.
So then
with the additional information you requested.
So I'll move that we continue this item to the next available council meeting and direct staff to also include in the presentation information relative to a comprehensive lease strategy.
And when we get that data and stuff, we have to make sure that we're, doing, just because there might be a mileage thing, are we gaining more on the technology on what we're gaining on that as well? So, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Is that gonna hurt?
we would bring it back an option to make sure it fits. We'd let you, we would disclose what it looks like for us, make sure it works.
Okay. I'll second that.
Any comments or questions on this side? You good? No? All right, so I've got a first and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, next item, item 12. Megan, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you is the ordinance number 460 regarding temporary special events. At the June 23rd City Council meeting, the City Council directed staff to add more details to the special event permit process and to return to Council at a later date. And tonight is that date. The items that were added to this ordinance are as follows. We included standard conditions of approval for parking and traffic control, restroom facilities, amplified and noise control, emergency medical services, which I would like to briefly speak about. Our fire captain spoke to me earlier this evening regarding the events with the document that says events with more than 500 attendees or involving high-risk activities shall provide certified EMS personnel on site. That number needs to be increased to 4,000. 500 people to require EMS personnel on site. It is his recommendation that that's too small of a number, and that number should be 4,000. After speaking with the city attorney tonight, we can, because this is the first reading, we can add those changes into the ordinance and bring them back during the second reading. The next item we added detail to is police and security services. This item also has a recommendation for a change, and that would be in the document to 5B, which reads, events involving alcohol, street closures, or that occur after 8 p.m. shall require licensed security staff or off-duty law enforcement. The lieutenant brought to my attention that San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department are not allowed to work outside of their job doing that same duty, if that made sense. And so we would like to strike out that statement. And so it would read, events involving alcohol, street closures, or that occur after 8 p.m. shall require licensed security staff, period. In addition, we made changes and created detailed structure to alcohol service, waste management and site cleanup, fire safety and emergency access, accessibility, signage and notification, and hours of operation. Details are described in the staff report as well as the attached ordinance. I would like to note that attachment 2 reads on the document ordinance number 460 redlined, and I should have wrote ordinance number 460 multicolored. Those multicolors mean the same thing. It's what was in the document previously, which we now removed. This concludes my staff report. The recommendation this evening is that City Council approve the introduction and first reading of Ordinance 460, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Yucaipa repealing and replacing Ordinance number 394 with the edits we discussed earlier. I can answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Colleagues, have any questions or concerns, comments?
Yes, I do. This afternoon, I did receive a couple of questions where they wanted some clarification. On page 174, in regards to the insurance.
Yes.
Okay, before there was a dollar amount, now there's not. Now, I did talk with staff this morning in my meeting with them, and that was explained to me, but the person that was questioning this said he thinks, how is that going to be determined exactly? That it kind of lacks standards for that to be determined.
Yeah, that's absolutely understandable. I think the recommendation comes from CIRA, and it's that depending on the type of the event, the insurance can significantly change. So previously, it was a $1 million policy, but something like the most recent item that was brought to council, I believe, was the event at Abraham Issa's property. I can't remember the name of it, but the recommendation for the insurance was $2 million, $4 million, $2 million liability, $4 million aggregate. And so it is being recommended that once the applicant submits their application, we then would provide the requirements for that type of event. And again, it's because, something with water. Those liability requirements would be a lot higher than something on land. Now, we can make a change and say no less than. I'm eyeing the city attorney as I say we can make a change, but we can.
The goal on this one was to allow flexibility as we interact with CIRA, which is the city's own insurance carrier, to make sure that we're carrying their recommended levels of insurance depending on the nature of the event and the size of the event. The goal is not to have a lack of discretion when the city manager is proposing insurance. The other part of this is, our goal when we're updating municipal code sections is to future-proof them so that we do not have to constantly go back and keep revising them. When we put fixed numbers like $1 million in our code, we are obligating ourselves to coming back and fixing that no matter what at some future date. So the goal is simply to make sure that it is understood that there is an insurance requirement and that amount will be set by the city manager. Okay, the question that went along with that was, they pay their application fee, which is non-refundable. And then if we come back and say, well, you're going to have to require this much insurance, and they can't afford that insurance, their refund, they can't get a refund on their money. I think that was part of the question. Is it's kind of it's uncertain. It provides uncertainty. I would say that there's always the ability of an applicant who's dissatisfied with the decision of the city manager to appeal that decision to the council. Okay. If the council felt that the city manager was abusing their discretion or being unreasonable, then it would come before this body. I can tell you that for most larger events or events involving alcohol or amplified sound, the limits are going to be 2-4. 2 million liability, 4 million in aggregate. That is the current standard. That may go up over time, but that's the current standard. I think for smaller events, we may want to reduce the insurance that's required. Commensurate, if there's no alcohol being served, if there's no amplified, and we're just talking about a smaller event, I think the city can use its discretion to lower it, and that would ultimately lower the cost of the event for those other individuals. And then the last thing I would say, it's an application fee. It is to pay for the cost of the application processing. And that does come with a disclaimer that there's no guarantee that you will be issued the permit. Yeah. Okay.
And if I may, I just want to add that my staff does a really good job, and also we can update the website. We don't want to take their $250 money and let them not have the event. Our goal is that they have the event, but that it's a safe and successful event. And so we will work on recommending. We have the city attorney was saying, Sierra, we have a company called Alliant that our applicants can speak with to give them an idea of what the insurance would cost before they even submit and pay. We will guide them and help them. This isn't to create barriers. It's actually to make it more defined and understandable what our requirements are, instead of them submitting an application and we're saying, oh, wait, but this. And then they come to council and we say, wait, you want to add this. We're trying to say, hey, get all your ducks in a row, submit this application.
Right, okay. Thank you, because, they just asked me to ask, so. And then on 175, under item E, the last item, number 5, no outside alcohol may be brought into an alcohol service area. They were questioning that as needing a definition of exactly what is outside alcohol.
This one, I don't think I need the city attorney for, so that's exciting. ABC only allows alcohol to be distributed in an area that there's an ABC license for. So I'm going to give the example of the Music and Arts Festival. A nonprofit gets a license to serve alcohol within the boundaries of the event. We have several other establishments in the Uptown, Suvegs, Uptown Wine Merchant, Yucaipa, who also have an ABC license and sell alcohol. The beer garden patrons can't take their alcohol into any of those establishments, and those establishments, patrons of those establishments can't come into those boundaries. So when you have a special event, you either get a one-day nonprofit license from ABC, or you hire a company that has a license. It just means that there can only be one license on that property, or one license for that.
For that event?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, what if it's on private property?
Same. It's actually governed by ABC, which is a state of California, not the city. This isn't something we created. I'm still eyeing you, city attorney. If you need to chime in there, you may.
Sure. So I would say that, it is regulated at the state level through ABC. I think you apply sort of a common sense understanding of it. If I walk into a restaurant, I don't bring out my own food and my own drinks and start eating at the table. It's the same rule here. If you're in the alcohol service area that's been designated for the event, and you are consuming alcohol that you procured at that event from the licensee. And that's just to make sure that we don't have unlicensed alcohol consumption going on in that area.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? You? No? To the right? I've got one for you, Megan. When we're dealing with the security and law enforcement portions of the permit, it says here, security plan must be submitted for approval prior to the permit being issued. When they have an event requires a special permit, is that automatically going to get sent to law enforcement to review, or is it sent to them based on the type of event by the discretion of other staff members?
It is always sent to every department head: police, fire, community development, community services.
Okay. Because, and I'm probably, you've answered it, and here's the reason for my question, is that sometimes there may be an event and the event goes off without any issue from start to finish. But depending on the clientele that comes to the event, now they're on the street. And as they're leaving our community, there may be people here that have issues with people in our city, and now it causes a burden for law enforcement. And I would like them to at least know that this event is going on in our area. So whether it was, I'm trying to be vague here because I'm not trying to tell everything I know. But there is security concerns and sometimes in these events. And I want to just make sure that law enforcement is aware prior to them taking place, so that they have the opportunity to do their intel and look into things as appropriate. Because the event itself may not be an issue, but it's the clientele as they're leaving could cause an undue burden on our law enforcement at that time.
Yes, sir.
So that's my concern. So I want to make sure it gets to them.
Yes.
Okay.
One of my favorite parts of this city, of working here, not that you asked, but is how well we work together and how we send documents over, they review them and read them, and this is a team effort. Everything is, we all want to make sure that every part that we oversee is communicated and understood. And if you look to my right, you can see Sergeant Ford, who is the greatest admin sergeant that I have worked with. And he can attest that I bother him 7 days a week with permits. We ensure that he sees them, knows about them. In addition, the same with city events, large rentals, anything going on at the YPAC. And Trevor is also notified just so that we can have a second set of eyes on these items.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm not trying to make more work for everybody, and them included. But I'm just trying to make sure that everyone's informed. And it could be, it doesn't necessarily be the certain clientele coming through. It could be it's a traffic thing. We don't think it's gonna be a traffic issue. They start digging into it and find out, oh yeah, just a couple of road closures isn't gonna wing it. We're gonna need some deputies out there to direct traffic or citizens on patrol or things of that nature as well.
Absolutely. Communication's key, and I think that's why these details are so important. One of the items we're going to change for the special event permit process is notifying neighbors where their special events are happening, that it's going to be taking place.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, no other, do we have no comments on this? Public comment? All right. No questions? No comments from you guys?
The greatest admin sergeant in San Bernardino County, right?
What did I say?
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Your feelings get hurt?
Oh, yeah. Oh. Am I turning red? Oh.
Okay.
I'll move approval.
So I have a first.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mayor, and just for clarification, the motion was to approve with the amendments that staff recommended?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'll talk slow. Okay, our next item is item 13, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Item 13 is the selection of the voting delegate and alternate for the 2025 League of California Cities Annual Conference. This year's annual conference will be held at the Long Beach Convention Center from October 8th through October 10th. The conference includes the annual business meeting where the membership takes action on conference resolutions. Participation in the business meeting allows the city to engage in the league's policy development process. Currently, we have 2 council members registered to attend the conference. We have council members Miller and Woolsey registered to attend, and per the bylaws of the League of California Cities, they're requiring that the city council appoint a voting delegate and alternate to this conference. That concludes my presentation. If council would like to discuss who you would like to appoint, I'd be happy to take those notes and refer that back to the league.
Okay. Do you want to go?
Is there a volunteer first?
Well, I can't go. I'm just going to work my way down.
Well, if they're going,
They're already registered to
if
go.
they're already going,
so-
I think they. I would move that Councilwoman Woolsey be the voting delegate and Councilman Miller be the alternate. They both represent our city well. I think they would do well to. They would do a good job for us. They've done a good job this far, so keep that momentum.
I agree.
How can you agree? You weren't even in here.
I have a booming voice, Mayor.
Okay, do you have, either one of you have comments you want to make?
No.
All right, I'll second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, perfect. Thank you. Because I won't be able to make it either. Next item, Anna.
Okay, that is me as well. Item number 14 is the discussion of the 2025 City Council meeting schedule. This is an item, Mayor Thorpe, you directed staff at the last City Council meeting. You asked that we bring this back to council for discussion per Councilmember Woolsey's request. If you turn to page 188 of your agenda packet, you will see here the City Council on December 9th, 2024 adopted resolution number 2024-62, setting the 2025 City Council meeting schedule. We have a table here and we have the meetings that were not scheduled per resolution number 2024-62. We have a total of 5 meetings that were not scheduled. For the sake of this presentation, we're going to go through the remainder of the meetings for 2025. So we have October 13th, November 24th, and December 22nd that have all been canceled. So we're going to talk about each of those months individually. Now, your executive team does have a calendar, a look-ahead calendar is what we call it, and that's what we use to schedule our agendas in advance. This is a document that we use internally. This is a document that changes on a regular basis. It changes daily, so it's not something that we publish to the council, or push out to anybody else. But for the sake of this conversation, I did include that in my presentation. And so we're going to go ahead and look ahead to the agendas for October, November, and December, so you can kind of take a look and see what those meetings are going to look like. Okay, so this is the calendar for October 2025. Normally, we would have our 2 city council meetings. We would have Monday, October 13th and Monday, October 27th. You'll see here that the 13th is striked out. That is Columbus Day, and so the city council chose not to schedule a meeting on that day. This is what our tentative October agenda looks like. We have a total of 9 items here. We have 6 items that are on consent. We have 2 discussion items, and we have 1 public hearing. We'll move on to November. Normally, we would have a meeting on the 10th, and we would also have a meeting on the 24th. City Council chose not to schedule a meeting on the 24th because we do have the fall closure here, where City Hall is closed on the 26th and on the 27th due to Thanksgiving. And so this is what our tentative November agenda looks like. We've got a total of 7 items. Of the 7 items, you've got 6 items that will be on consent, and you've got 1 item for discussion. And you also have a special presentation there. Okay, for December, we have our meeting scheduled on December 8th. Normally, we would also have a meeting scheduled on December 22nd. Again, very similar to November, City Council chose not to reschedule that meeting on the 22nd because we have our winter closure. So City Hall will be closed on the 24th and also on the 25th. So the December agenda, tentatively right now, we have a total of 6 items. We have 4 of those being consent. We've got 2 discussion items, and we've got 2 special presentations. So tonight, staff is recommending that the City Council discuss the schedule for the remainder of 2025 and advise staff of any desired changes. We also have here, I'm happy to answer any questions. I also have here a look ahead to 2026. Now, this item, this resolution is something that typically comes back to the City Council in December. So in December, you will see a resolution on the consent calendar that will be setting the City Council meeting schedule for all of 2027. This is what our meeting schedule would look like. You'll see on the screen that we've got the holidays listed on there. So Monday, May 25th, there would be no meeting because of Memorial Day. October 12th, there would be no meeting for Columbus Day. And then December 28th, there would be no meeting for the winter closure. So City Hall will be closed during that time period. So we would not be able to have meetings on those dates. Now, if the City Council chose to do a summer recess like you have the last couple years, then potentially, then we would also cancel the first meeting in July, the 13th. And then if City Council chose to also cancel the meeting the week of Thanksgiving, then we would potentially cancel the meeting on November 23rd. And once again, that would put you at 5 meetings canceled for the year. This item, again, will come back to you in December. So I'm happy to entertain again any questions for the remainder of 2025. And if City Council has any questions, thoughts, or direction on 2026, I'd be happy to take those notes as well. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Ball's in your court.
Okay. Thank you for helping me bring this back. As I previously stated, when I saw that we were missing this many meetings, it was just a concern of mine. I don't think it looks good to the city. We have a lot of things I know coming up as far as I'm sure there's going to be special meetings for the city manager when we get ready to go through that process. Strategic plan, I believe. there's probably going to be special meetings. So I know we have extra meetings coming up. But I just feel that every time we miss a regular meeting, it makes the following meeting that much more work for the staff and for the council. The three of you, you have families, you have jobs. And when we're here late, till late at night, you guys get up early and go to work the next morning. Bob gets up early to go play golf, you know? Sorry, Bob, I couldn't resist. And I think when we do this, we're making our job harder, you know? And staff has families that they'd like to go home to at night too after they've worked all day. So I may be the only one that's concerned about this, but I just wanted to bring it back and put it out there. And I think sometimes when we have long meetings, of course what Anna has just showed us, you know, it doesn't appear that it's that much, but some of those items might be long discussions that could take us in later. And sometimes we have to go back for closed session too, you know, so that makes it even later. Sometimes I don't think we take the time that we need to really discuss these things because we're tired. By 8, 9 o'clock at night, we're tired, you know? So we kind of, I don't think, really discuss like we should. So I'm simply asking that, if possible, maybe we could reschedule. I would go along with December not having a second meeting. It's Christmas time. There's lots of things going on. But I would like to see maybe a special meeting, I guess that's what you call them when it's not the regular meeting, rescheduled for maybe October and November. I understand that when you do that, you do them like on a Wednesday night. And I know that it doesn't fit into your normal schedule, but it's just something I wanted to, you know, throw out there for discussion. And even if they're a short meeting, at least it's just that much less work that we have to do the next time. And I just feel it's important, and I appreciate your feedback.
Councilman Miller, any thoughts? You?
Oh. I think that the biggest concern is tomorrow morning I got to get up at 2:30 and I got to be in Palmdale, you know, by 5. So when they go out late and we're here at 4 o'clock and stuff, so that's a huge concern to all of us, you know, and not getting that much sleep, having, you know, 9 energy drinks while we're.
It's my first one, sir.
Oh, sorry.
With your judgmental undertones.
No, but it is a concern, you know, I mean, for all of us. And so if we can, you know, even if we don't go back with a few or one more or something like that, if we can start looking at the agendas a little bit better and maybe thinking about, you know, everybody up there and stuff. And I understand that we have to hit all these points, but, you know, maybe we can kind of work around to where, you know, we don't have that anymore. So that's a huge concern of mine too. So,
Councilman Weaver.
I certainly support the idea of maybe a curfew for meetings. Maybe an ordinance that meetings will not extend beyond this time. If it doesn't get accomplished, then we'll have to revisit it, or I think that would put, you know, encourage us to be diligent in our meetings. Not a fan of special city council meetings. I think consistency is important in government. I think people can count on the fact that Yucaipa City Council meets on Mondays. I think when we start deviating from that, it creates obviously scheduling issues for us, but I think our constituents really enjoy knowing that Mondays are the meeting, or, you know, second and fourth Mondays are the scheduled meetings of the day for us to discuss city business. And now we're asking them to maybe keep track of another calendar and be here to weigh in on matters when they've already when they've already committed to memory that second and fourth Monday is the day for that. Canceling a meeting for these reasons that our city clerk laid out makes sense to me. I think one thing that you said something that I agree with. Maybe it doesn't look good. You know, we're getting funded, we're getting paid, compensated, you know, $600 a month to do a job. But I don't like the idea of well, we gotta do something. We have to govern. Well, not there. If city staff says, no, we don't need you, the decision's been made and we're moving smoothly, then I don't think, us governing with an iron fist is the right thing. No, we have arranged the chessboard to move smoothly without our presence. Everything's moving, I think anytime when government can take a step back and just let the city be itself and good things happen. I don't like special meetings. If these were closed exclusively for, we just don't want to be here, I would certainly disagree, but I think we've seen, at least in the 4.5 years I've been on the council, generally speaking, those meetings, even the ones that are standing in the holiday times, are not well attended. People are traveling, they're with their families, and they're not coming to our government meetings, at least in the first couple of years of my time on the council. The last 2 years, they were at every meeting. People were here. I'm not unhappy with this portion of it. I think going late maybe compromises our abilities to be rational in our decision making because we want to get through it. Whatever makes this end faster, let's move along. But sometimes, I think in the first 4 years, there was times we were here till 11 o'clock at night. That was in the more peaceful days when it's just a lot of stuff we had to discuss. I think in the last couple of years we've done a pretty good job we haven't gone too late on occasion, but I think our city staff does a pretty good job of forecasting. I didn't know that this existed. What'd you call it? The look ahead calendar. I didn't know that existed. I'm glad. I mean, you guys are the A-team. They're forecasting meetings through the end of the year of what we're going to be talking about. And so I think if they're able to do that, and having good communication with our mayor to then reach out and say, hey, something came up. It needs to be a special meeting because of some kind of an urgent matter. We visit that on a specific basis, but I don't like the idea of forecasting special meetings. I don't think it looks good.
This has been helpful, Anna, because it does give a better picture, of what we have ahead of us. Because I know we still have the freeway corridor, which is coming back. We have the wine country. We have the Serrano Estates. Those are major things that's probably going to cause a lot of discussion. And it was just my concern, like with the June 9th meeting, we started at 3 in the afternoon because we had the mobile home park stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but I didn't get home till 11 or 11:30 that night. And, it's a lot. And so this has eased my mind some. I think I just would, when it comes time for next year's, that we definitely really consider maybe not scheduling 5 meetings off. I don't think that's asking too much that we be here for the public and show the public that we're here doing our job. That's just the way I think. I do appreciate you guys, addressing this.
So what would you like to do tonight then, since we have an item before us? Do you want us to take any action tonight, or you want to make a motion?
Not really.
Because I didn't even actually pitch in on this, but, I think we're mostly through the year.
Mm-hmm.
We proceed with what we have, but if we want to fine tune the calendar when it comes back in December, when we look at it for what's going to be that following year, then we can have a deeper conversation on,
Right.
like you're saying, or like even the other council members are talking about, whether it's a time limit or it's not having as many days off. But I think with being mid-swing right now through this schedule, at least for me, it's helpful to know my schedule for the year. And know
Right.
even in my line of work, typically when we get our vacations, you have an opportunity to kind of pick your vacation. If you want to use a block of vacation time, they prefer you to take it at that time versus
Yeah.
trying to come back later and do it. And that makes it easier for everyone for scheduling.
Yeah.
And that's kind of department wide. And it's kind of the same thing here. Once we get it, we can kind of plan things out, because I don't know about the rest of my council members, but I think there's only been once or twice that I've missed a meeting, and that
Yeah.
was because I had COVID. That was back in 21.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I'm not trying to miss a meeting. But
Right.
there may be some things that come up that are out of our control. But I guess what I'm getting at is being able to plan.
Yeah, and no, I don't expect any action on this. I just really wanted to have the discussion with everybody, get your feelings, and maybe plan, like I said, for next year, maybe schedule it a little different, you know, so that we don't have that many missed meetings.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think we have anything else to discuss on that one. All right.
Okay.
So that moves us to our, unless you had public comment on that?
No public
All right, I
comments.
didn't think so, okay. Next is our public hearing, item number 15. So we'll open the public hearing. Current time is 7:20. Ben, it is all you.
All right, thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. I'm here tonight to present ordinance number 450 for everyone. All right, so ordinance number 450, just want to kind of give a little bit of background. So the city's development code itself framework is from city and corporation. So from 1989 is the general framework. County had adopted that framework in the earlier 80s, so it's definitely kind of a hodgepodge of different stuff. And so right now as staff, we are working through a comprehensive development code update that's going to help kind of retransform and modernize that code process. We are getting grant funding through the state, through SCAD, through SBCTA, and so there's kind of a process with that. However, there are a few different elements that have kind of popped up that require action to kind of occur a little bit sooner before the comprehensive update can occur. And so this essentially been different things that have come to us to address or wish lists from different departments or through kind of council direction or so be it. And this is to address those kind of smaller ticket issues as we kind of lead into the more comprehensive code update in the future. And so as part of this, while there's a lot of different sections, all of the different kind of updates boil down to essentially 6 different topics, either updates to ensure compliance with state law. So as we know, state keeps changing the rules on different things on land use, and so we are continuously playing catch up on that. We do have a few other housing element programs that we are required to do in terms of meeting our housing element programs. There are some implementation of economic development and fiscal sustainability goals. There are some public safety components that we are trying to address. And then there's some internal procedures and processes that we're also trying to update. So there's things that are in our code that don't reflect how we actually do business. And so we're trying to make sure that that's correct. And then there's just some general cleanup items as well. It's a bunch of different subjects and different topics. And so for City Council, you can consider all the different sections. You can consider some of them. And so you can take action on which ones deem appropriate. And so they're just all together as one, rather than having a bunch of different ordinances coming back to you guys, doing a bunch of different notices. It's all tied to one package, but certainly we can remove, edit, modify any of the different sections as needed. So I'm going to kind of go through each of these very briefly. I do have pulled up on the computer as well. I can tab over to the actual code section. Format of the code is bold text is new text, strikeout is remove text, and then everything else is stuff that exists. So the updates either are additions, deletions, and maybe a whole new section, or it may be just minor tweaks to existing code sections. So I'll start with section number 2, which is our conditional use permit section. So we have in it, there's a section within it that deals with the procedures for what is subject to land use compliance review. So it's essentially the same text in this procedure that's in another procedure section. So I'm removing the duplication since it ties to the land use compliance review. There's also provision for arcades requiring a conditional use permit. So they're one of the uses that trigger a heightened level of discretionary review. We haven't had any issues with arcades. This is something that reflects, I think, a much more outdated kind of code issue that was carried over from the county. And then this also is to trigger a conditional use permit requirement for certain off-site alcohol establishments, so thinking liquor stores in particular, and then massage therapy establishments would be subject to the conditional use permit to address some of the public safety concerns we've had with those particular uses in our history. Section number 3 is a procedure element. So in our conditions of approval for any land use entitlement, we talk about If you're not compliant with the conditions, we can revoke the approval of that conditional use permit or planning use permit or anything related to that. But there isn't actually anything in our code that says how that procedure is governed, and so what steps we as staff would take to make sure that due process is upheld. And so this is a kind of procedure in cleanup using best practices, and so it establishes that revocation process that is already listed in our standard conditions and just puts in forward what the steps are that we would take to do it. Section number 4 is some modifications to our land use compliance review application. As part of changes in state law, some of the review and approval for residential projects is now modified from 4 units to 10, and so that's reflected in the changes. Some clarification for approval of certain different kind of elements, including ground-mounted signs. And then also, we do have along Oakland Road, we have our RM24, so our high-density residential development. However, Oakland Road is a pretty highly traveled corridor, and so losing retail space along that probably isn't necessarily great for the long-term fiscal sustainability. And so to help encourage that development, but also make sure that we can also provide some sales tax benefit, it allows for some mixed-use commercial development to occur there. Similar to a commercial law SB 6 with the state, where it allows in commercial districts high-density housing. This is almost opposite, where in our high-density housing we allow some commercial, so we can still keep some sales tax revenue in those locations. And then section number 5 is essentially establishing a zoning compliance process for new businesses. So we used to have an annual business license, so every business that did work in the city had to submit an application every year, renew fees continuously. From the planning perspective, we would review it just for, is the business allowed in this subject site or is it not? This replaces the old business license that applied everywhere and was always having to be renewed to just, is the business allowed in that subject site or is it not? And then we provide any input that may be necessary, ensure if they need a fire inspection that they get that done as well. And then we're going to tie it into economic development as well, so that they know, hey, we have these programs with the Chamber of Commerce that you can tie into. We have this, if you want to do a ribbon cutting, they can do that. And so we plan to package what was an annual expense to just a one-time zoning compliance and add some value-added benefits to new businesses that start in the city of Yucaipa. Section number 6 deals with our tentative track map procedures. Again, just as I mentioned for land use compliance review, 10 lots or less are now subject to ministerial approval. And then there were some weird provisions where I, as the city planner, could decide that some projects did not require a public hearing just arbitrarily, and so that has been removed. And then it also removes the noticing requirements for ministerial projects, since they are by right, and so they're not necessarily able to be denied. And so that is also cleaned up to make sure it's compliant with state law. As I mentioned, for the high-density residential is to allow mixed-use development within our high-density commercial corridors, and is to increase the sales tax revenue along those and encourage the development of our housing element sites. Section 8 is our multiple residential standards. Again, similar provisions, allows from 4 to 10 units to be allowed, and then also adds some cross-references to our design guidelines for clarity. And then lastly, it allows for small lot subdivisions in addition to condominium development. So we have historically had condos as a way to provide for sale single-family development with the density of multifamily. The goal is to provide a single-family opportunity for development. Having a more complicated process of a condo project seems counterintuitive, and so this would allow the same type of development, but an easier process for developers to go through, and a more marketable product for homeowners, where rather than having a condo ownership, they would own the fee simple title of their lot. And so it's a more marketable process for all parties involved. And so rather than this Band-Aid workaround that had been in our code and used for a long time, this just streamlines the process to encourage the outcome that was intended in the first place. Section 9, our residential parking standards, just adds the category for the density bonus reference, and then also adds a small lot subdivision for consistency. Section 10, our multiple residential design standards. adds in the small lot stuff, clarifies some distinctions, and then lastly, with the changes to state law, a lot of the subjective requirements we really can't enforce, and so any spot where we could have a more objective requirement where it's you shall provide this and it's measurable, that has been added in lieu of the more kind of loose definitions that were in the code. So it includes open space amenities, the trash enclosure, tot lot, and the community focal point, and the parking lot. So all that stuff has just been tweaked a little bit to make sure that it is a objective requirement that we can enforce pursuant to state law versus what we didn't have before. Section number 11, establishments for off-site alcohol sales. This establishes a conditional use permit for new establishments, and then what is called a deemed approved status for existing establishments. So as long as they maintain good operating conditions, they get to continue as long as they do. But if they do start causing an issue, then we get to kind of reevaluate their operations and look into ways that can remedy those issues for law enforcement moving forward. And then the section 12 is the same thing, but for massage establishments. So new ones would be subject to conditional use permit. The old ones would be as a deemed approved status. Section number 13 is a clarifying component, so it adds a definition for congregate living health facilities. And then section number 14 is the definition for small lot subdivision into our definition section. Section number 15, 16, and 18 pertain to our sign code. So this adds some additional statement on our sign regulations intent. It adds, clarifies some of the encroachment into the public right-of-way for city control signs, and adds clarity for provisions on city communication billboards. So I do want to note that this was reviewed by the Plan Commission, and they recommend that the City Council further consider these sections. So while they did recommend approval of the ordinance as a majority as a whole, these particular sections and the section 17 that I'll discuss next were not part of that recommendation. They wanted to flag it for council to weigh in a little bit further on these provisions. Section number 17 deals with our prohibited signs. So we have a lot of existing provisions on what is currently not allowed in the city. However, technology has moved a lot faster than what is in the sign code. So we have things for movable, electronic type of elements to signs, but those have now moved to digital displays. And so people have started adding flashing strobes or other kind of things that move in those signs. And so this is to address those kind of inconsistencies with it. Again, the Plan Commission did not recommend this and recommend that the city and council instead further review this as part of your guys' discussion. Section number 19 is a change to the development code regarding marijuana uses. Clarifies that all commercial marijuana uses are prohibited except as permitted by the municipal code. And so it is kind of a component where delivery services, as an example, are allowed pursuant to state law. So even though our code says all of them prohibited, they technically are allowed to some degree. The policy of the city on marijuana uses is not proposed to be changed, but it allows some of the municipal code to change based on how state law is and make sure that we're up to date on that. And since it's not necessarily a zoning issue for deliveries, it wouldn't necessarily be something that the Plan Commission will weigh in, but certainly making sure that the City Council weighs in on those changes as they occur in the future. Section number 20 is dealing with height regulations. So this integrates the fair share provisions that the City Council had previously approved under Resolution number 2024-53. Also clarifies that the Community Development Director and not the building official determines the certain structure increases. This is consistent with the historical practices. So even back in the city's early days, John McMains was the one that reviewed these height regulations. It was not the building official in those times. It also provides flexibility to create more defined building entrances, and that allows a 25-foot height increase specifically for medical buildings or hotels. So it still allows some what the city's maximum height is in the city within our districts, but it helps encourage additional development for kind of these uses that generate a higher revenue potential, either through more people in the city during the day that help benefit the other businesses, or hotels where we have the transit occupancy tax that can also generate additional revenue for the city. Section number 21 is landscape regulations. This essentially takes our standard conditions of approval and adds it to our code. It was within a administrative guideline document that was typed a long time ago, was never officially in our code, so this is just a cleanup item to make sure it's in there. Section number 22 deals with inactive applications. So we do have a few projects that were submitted, some of them like 5 years ago. Try to reach out to people, they don't respond. So this would essentially say after so long of a period of time, the project is considered no longer on the table. If they want to deal with it, then they can come back, but it allows us to formally kind of close it out, refund the application moving forward. And then section number 23, subdivision design, formally establishes a HOA requirement for subdivisions over 50 units or within master plan communities. So rather than having the city manage all these lighting maintenance and districts, the different LMDs for these different projects, it helps maintain some of those obligations to some of the larger subdivisions or master plan communities. 50 units was kind of selected just because if you have a small subdivision, you don't have enough people in the project to create the quorum for the board for the HOA, and so 50 kind of provides that minimum number to ensure that you have participation in that. And then last one, section 24 clarifies some of the language for what is a timely filed map. So if the county is doing their plan check for a final map, the application expires on the city's end, but it's still in the county's process. It gives some flexibility to recognize that, hey, you guys are not the reason why this thing is delayed. It's it's beyond your control, and so we'll work with you to make sure it's there, but also doesn't give a indefinite period of time for that project to survive and in perpetuity either. And then last, section number 25 kind of dovetails off of the safety element update that we discussed at the last meeting, which is establishing the FR3 district into our development code as well. And then we've already added it into our municipal code and into our safety element as well. And that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions or pull up the code and go further from there.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, do you have any public comments on this item?
We do. Tim Lynch.
Mayor and fellow council members, my name is Tim Lynch. I'm with General Outdoor Advertising, 632 South Hope Avenue, Ontario, California. I'm here to talk about a couple of the sections that Ben brought up. If you look at your agenda, the last paragraph after number 3, there are 4 sections that the Planning Commission had issues with, and those 4 sections I have issues with, simply because if those are approved, that would allow for, it's my understanding, another digital billboard to be built on the freeways in this city. The previous council, who I worked with starting in January of 2016, in June of 2022, approved entitlements for 3 digital billboards on the freeway in this city. That council was adamant that these would be the only 3 billboards allowed on the freeway in the city of Yucaipa, which is extremely important to me as an extremely small billboard operator, and the other company, Leonard, which is another small billboard operator. It's difficult for us to compete against the big 3. There are 3 major billboard companies in the United States, all on the New York Stock Exchange, all multi-billion-dollar companies. And when they go in and we have to compete directly with them, it's very difficult for us, and anybody who operates a small business would understand that, to compete against those people. And it's my understanding that that's what's being looked at this point, and I'm hoping that this council will maintain the status quo that the previous council, like I said, was adamant about only allowing those 3. As a matter of fact, my second one, which took a couple years longer to get approved by Caltrans, we had some issues to get through, is under construction right now, and the column went up today. It's my understanding that if this goes through, one of the big 3 is going to build a sign within 1,000 feet, maybe 1,500 feet from that sign, and that would be a knife in the heart for my small company. I'll do the best I can, and I understand you have a lot of issues you have to deal with. But it's my hope that this city, when the city council makes a comment and a recommendation and an approval, that they live up to that. I know councils change, as this council is a different council. Not everyone, but there's a few that were during those meetings, and they will remember how adamant that council was regarding only 3. And I also want to thank Mary for the invite for the chamber breakfast on Thursday. I got a chance to talk to them a little bit. And so you know that even though I guarantee at least one City of Yucaipa business organization at all times for 60 days on my sign, in 2 years we put up 23 different ads, and each one ran for 60 days at a time, except the Yucaipa High School 50th reunion. They were late getting me artwork, so that ad was only up for 45 days. Thank you.
We have no more comments.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, any of my colleagues have questions, concerns, feedback? Starting on, you want me to start on the right? Yeah. I guess you get to go first.
Can you clarify the gentleman's point regarding the billboards? Is that accurate? That the approval of this as written would allow for more than 3 digital billboards in the city?
It would allow the ability, if city council wanted to have a billboard constructed on city-controlled property, the city could enter into that. It does not obligate the city to do that, but it does provide the flexibility if they wanted to do it sometime in the future. Or it could be a stretcher just for city advertising or whatever the case may be.
Closed session. There's certain things I want to make sure I'm careful as to discussions that were had in closed session. Obviously, okay, we have 2 digital billboards operational in the city right now.
That is correct.
Sounds like Mr. Lynch said that another one is broken ground. Is that?
Yeah, so it sounds like the stretcher is going in, just started today, so very exciting for that stretcher.
We had discussed, is that one we had discussed in closed session?
I don't know which one was broken ground today, but my assumption is it being built on city property, Ben?
That one is not, no.
So then probably not.
I'd like to hear what the rest of my colleagues have to say.
Well, I'll move to approve 2 and 6, 14, 19 through 21, 23, 24, and 25, and throw out 3, 4, 5, 15 through 18, and 22. And then on
Mayor Pro Tem, can we get those numbers again? I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just a definite no on 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, 1, 3, 4, 5.
15 through 18.
15 through 18.
And number 22.
So
and then
that's
on, yeah, I'd like to throw those out.
And then your motion would be to approve the rest?
Yes. And then on number 19, when we're getting cannabis sent into our city, now is there a tax on that we can collect? You know, because, I mean, if I were to buy a vehicle, they go by off of your social, I mean, not your social, but your zip code. That's what I'm trying to think. Thank you. But, you know, so when you have cannabis delivered here, I think that we were talking about that with Chris Mann on packages from Amazon, being able to collect taxes on that. So in number 19, you said that would be cannabis delivered to the city of Yucaipa residents, right?
To clarify, number 19 is restating existing law, which is the city of Yucaipa, by law, cannot prevent the delivery of cannabis into our jurisdiction.
Oh, okay.
So it is
Well,
being delivered.
It is. So can we make some taxes on that, since it's in our city?
That's something we could certainly work with finance on to see what the numbers are.
Yeah, as the ordinance stands now, because this is in the development code, is like a complete prohibition, so it's inconsistent with state law. And then certainly if we modify the policy, it will be a municipal code change, and yeah, there's, I think, opportunities that have been left on the table in terms of what state law already allows, so.
Yeah, so I mean, we implemented our own state tax now, or, well, city tax. So that's something that maybe we run ourselves into. I'm sorry, I got off the track a little bit and stuff, but that's my recommendation. No on 3, 4, 5, 15 through 18 and 22. Throw those out, approve the rest.
When you say throw them out, you mean pull them for discussion, or you mean no on them?
No on those.
Okay.
And Mayor, before we continue with the motion, did we close the public hearing, and did you announce the time?
Oh, I did not. So we'll close the public hearing, and the time is 7:46.
Thank you.
Now back to our dialogue. Okay, so you have a motion. I know that we've got 3 others that want to comment. So before we complete the motion, when it comes to the billboard items, I met with you today, Fermine and Ben, and my concern is optics on overhang and encroachment of the right-of-way. Don't know if I worded it clearly in that meeting, but the concern I have is that what is already in place with the existing ordinance would appear to be a different set of standards than what this is, and it kind of sends a confusing message to the public. I think that if we are going to do something different for the signs on regulation, then it needs to open up that other ordinance and make it across the board, so it's not 2 different set of rules, because it would make it look like we're not playing with the same game rules. That's my overall concern. Now, for me, you brought up some points about right-of-way and an easement. So could you kind of elaborate on that a little bit in here? Because if I try to recap it, I'm probably going to mess it up for everybody, and it'd probably be a lot less muddy if you do it.
Sure, Mr. Mayor. What I had iterated is, if I can find the draft language here, the way that it's being proposed. So the way that the language is written, it refers to a sign structure that overhangs onto the public right-of-way, public property, or an adjacent property. I think there's 2 different things there. One is whether it's a sign that is on public in the public right-of-way, well, a sign that's on private property, and then it's overhanging into the public right-of-way or public property. That brings up certain liability concerns and issues. That's different than if you have a sign on private property and it's overhanging onto an adjacent private property. If that's the case, there are procedures in place where if an application is received, whether it's a sign or any other structure, if that proposed structure or sign is going to overhang or encroach onto an adjacent private property, then there's procedures in place that require that applicant to work with the adjacent property to obtain property interest, whether it's an easement or some type of lease agreement to allow that. The concern there would be, again, as I mentioned earlier, if that sign is hanging over or encroaching into the public right-of-way. It's two different things, 2 different scenarios that are being covered by one sentence in the proposed change.
All right, thank you. So that is my concern. I think we need to look at that, whether it is for public property or it's for the right-of-way. I think we need to make sure that our rules are the same, and we don't have two sets of rules. And then to the public speaker's comment, I do recall when the digital signboards were brought to us previously back in 21 or 22, whenever that was. And I remember there was a decent conversation on that number of digital billboards. And if this is an effort to allow for additional billboards, I don't have an appetite for that, me personally. I think we have enough digital billboards, but that's me. I'm 105. But I do think whether the desire of the council to move forward with that or not, I think that we need to make sure our ordinances and our guidelines are consistent so it looks appropriate to anyone that may be critiquing it. Councilman Miller? Councilman Woolsey?
This is a big package, a lot of stuff in here. You know, we go from permits to track maps, housing, parking, alcohol and massage, health facility, and signs. So it's a lot to try to say a definite yes or no on the whole package. And I appreciate the work you guys, have done to put this together. But I'm really kind of wondering if maybe it shouldn't be broken apart, maybe in different sections, combine some of that together so that we can look at that better and in more detail. And I'm in agreement with Councilman Venable because I got email today, basically with concerns expressed on the very same things that Chris has said that we need to take out. And I especially, even before that, I've watched the Planning Commission video twice and listened to what they had to say. And I have major concerns with 15 through 18. I did attend the chamber breakfast and where Mr. Lynch spoke, and he made a real impression on me with some of the things that he said. He's been in the business for 48 years, and he has deep family and community ties in this area. And they prioritize working with the local communities. And their company donates spots to local businesses for 60 days. That's a lot of free advertising. That's got to be an expense for them. That really cuts them out on some money. And they're much more generous than other companies are. And over their 2-year period, as he said, they've had 23 different local businesses that have received free advertising, and that's huge. Not only to those businesses, which helps, of course, them be successful, which helps the city. And then the company is committed to supporting our local business, and these are the kind of people that we need to be supporting, our local people. That's in regards to, I think, 15? 17, I know some of this stuff is existing, and it just seems so silly to me, but I guess it's there, and maybe some of it could be stricken. For instance, just 2 items. Item B, signs attached or painted on trailers or vehicles parked on private property. Well, if you have pride in your business, small business, especially when they start out, they can't afford newspapers, they can't afford other advertising. I really don't think they're going to go out and buy a piece of junk and park it in their driveway or in front of their house to advertise because it's stationary. It's not going anywhere. They want their name of their business on something that's mobile, that's going to be driving around where people can see it. So, it's just something that jumped out at me. And then number F, tethered balloons and inflatables. Now, it's a silly item, but if I was opening a new business and going to do a grand opening, you'd betcha I'd want balloons out there. And I'd want that guy out there flopping around in his arms, drawing attention to bring people in. Some of this maybe just needs to be looked at in deeper things that it's getting pretty restrictive on that. And I think there was one other thing. And then 18 with city communication billboards. We have a billboard up at YPAC where YPAC events are advertised. It sits in the middle of town. There's a lot of businesses up there. Why aren't businesses being advertised on there also? Why aren't they being given that opportunity to help them? So my recommendation would be also that, especially with 15 and 18, it be just eliminated.
15 through 18 or just 15 and 18?
15 through 18.
15 through 18? Okay, so you have a motion. Oh, wait, hold on, before we get to that. Did you have anything else you wanted to say? Because you said you wanted to hear what everyone else had to say first.
I think if staff decides they want to bring some of these back, specifically the billboard ones, I'd recommend that, owing to the closed session agenda item from the last meeting, it be brought back in closed session first so we can discuss it, as to not blur the lines between what we discussed last time and this time. There's too much of a discussion I want to have right now that I'm not certain of the legalities on. So if you're going to bring back that item, anything regarding those items, I think it is prudent that it comes back in closed session, because there's some discussion to be had on the matter.
Sure. So what we can talk about in closed session is limited by the Brown Act. So we can agendize a closed session discussion, continuation of our previous conversations for the next city council meeting, just to refresh that conversation. And if you want to bring back 15 through 18 at a future date, you can do that.
I'm fine with that. There needs to be, because there's too much, especially as we talk about the limiting of billboards. And it sounds like a third one just broke ground. And then we talked about something last week as well. So there's there's more discussion need to be had on the matter. Because I think the numbers are something I'm not clear on. So I'll second our Mayor Pro Tem's motion.
Just for clarity, so some of the provisions that the motion sections included do pertain to section number 4 in the land use compliance view in terms of the edits. Would it make sense to have at least where those need to be addressed in those procedures at least be carried forward, and then everything else that wasn't addressed in the other sections?
On section 4, I'd say not at this time. So, but I wouldn't be opposed for you bringing it back, and so we can read on it everything that you're trying to say, because
Well, there'll be some provisions that will be inconsistent, so the code will no longer be clear of what is being allowed or what the procedure is.
okay, well, I'd say no on that. All right, at this moment.
Ben, clarify your point one more time.
So some of the provisions that were recommended some of the different sections that were recommended to be carried forward and those that were not removed were items that were being addressed in these different sections. And so whether or not it made sense to at least retain those as it pertained to the other sections, so that there's at least the legal authority to implement the sections that are being carried forward. Otherwise, they'll just be in the code, but there won't necessarily be the mechanism to do anything with them.
On the ones that I'm agreeing to approve?
Yeah.
Oh.
So much as if it's a section that you agreed to carry forward, we would only make those revisions, and then everything else that was not part of that would not be carried over.
Okay, I get it, yes.
Yeah.
I get it, yes.
Okay.
All right, then my second is based on that as well.
Yeah.
According to staff's recommendation. So this is the enforcement mechanism by which you would, for the ones we're voting for, 2, 6, 14, 19 through 21, 23, 24, 25, you need this language in there as well? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's just some of the different elements that were carried forward, and so it's making sure that in the land use procedure process, that those are there, so it's spelled out that this is how we would process it, and then these are the code provisions that are tied to it. And so it's just making sure it's tied together.
So now you got me confused again. So is this pertaining on provision number 4, what you're saying right now? That's to move forward on 2, 6, 14, 19, 21, 23, 24, and 25?
Yeah, I think anything that would apply, as long as it's tied to the other sections, then we would retain that change. If it doesn't, then we would not keep that change.
All right, as long as it's tied to that. Yeah, I think you have us all confused on this. So,
I think just probably to restate the motion is which sections you're carrying forward, and then any other elements to the code to make sure that
what we're carrying forward is 2, 6, 14, 19, 21, 23, 24, and 25.
It was 19, 20, and 21, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. 19, 20, and 21. 23, 24, and 25.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll make sure it's all good, and then with the second reading, we'll make sure that it reflects that.
So can we,
And these other items you're saying no to, or you're asking them to come back at a later date?
No, I'm saying no to.
Is that your understanding as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we good? All right.
Okay.
So we have a first and we have a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Actually, that was supposed to be a roll call vote.
Oh, sorry.
So let's do that again. So we have a first and a second.
So I have a first by Mayor Pro Tem Venable, and I have a second by Councilmember Beaver. Councilmember Beaver,
Yes.
Councilmember Miller,
No.
Councilmember Woolsey,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Venable,
Yes.
Mayor Thorpe.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. I think we got through that one. Councilmember comments. Councilwoman Woolsey.
Okay, I did attend the Valley Water District meeting, the National Night Out, which was fun, the luncheon for Captain Walker, the chamber breakfast, the ribbon cutting for the Cornerstone Barbecue, and also the ribbon cutting ceremony for the I-10 truck lane at the Pumpkin Patch.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. And Councilor Member Woosley, we had a good time at most of them events. I think we went together. I just want to take a time to say thank you to our police, fire department, and our city for National Night Out. It was well attended. Parking lot was packed. Especially want to thank the school district. They had every school representative with the principal, vice principal, staff, even admin staff was serving ice cream cones or something. I don't know, snow cones or whatever they were doing. But it was nice to see that whole community thing on safety that was emphasized, but also the impact with the school district. Everybody was there. I know board member, President Bogue was there, spoke to board member Avila, Superintendent Binks, and they were really proud to be part of that whole National Night Out because that, as we said before, I think we talked about it when Captain Walker was leaving, that relationship the city has with the school district is really strong, and I was always hoping for that, and I'm glad we're continuing that. And that was, it was a great turnout. So you guys did a great job on that, and thank you for what you do, everybody.
Thank you, sir. I apologize to everyone that was part of National Night Out. Sorry I couldn't make it this year. I heard it was really good, but I ended up working a little bit late, so I wasn't able to make it. There are two bills, and I did a quick little search a few minutes ago. One of them might have been recalled by the author, but if you wouldn't mind, Mr. City Attorney, if you wouldn't mind looking into these. Assembly Bill 1333 deals with self-protection and possible homicide-related charges to when you do defend your ground against a violent criminal. I think the author may have pulled that due to overwhelming opposition, but I'm not positive. And then there's another bill, AB 495, dealing with our children in schools. And I think it was the intent was supposed to be, as I understand it, that an adult over 18 could pull a child out of school if their parents had been deported or it was some sort of provision to take care of them, so they had someone looking after them. But I've seen some comments and some traction that it looks like it might open itself up to some possible human trafficking, things of that nature. So I don't know if that's accurate. I didn't have a chance to really dive into it, but both of those hit my radar over the weekend, and it was well after we had already posted the agenda.
And I have looked at both of those statutes myself. 1333, as you mentioned, makes amendments to Penal Code 197, which would dramatically reduce the scope of justifiable homicide, including eliminating, at least when I initially reviewed it, the exception when it occurs during the prevention of a riot or other breach of the peace. So I think that it's definitely worth looking at. We'll get a summary of both of those to the council so that council can take appropriate action on them. And then I would just say, keep an eye on the legislature for the next couple of weeks because we're going to be getting a lot out of them. Our office does prepare an annual summary of all bills that have been passed by the legislature in the last year, organized by housing, criminal statutes, et cetera. We'll get those to the council as well once we know what they've passed by we will know what they passed by mid-September, and they're reportedly done early October.
If that bill, or if both bills are still active, and they're as it seems like they are currently, as I'm looking at them, is there a way we can get this back that we could possibly get a letter of opposition, if that's the desire of the council, to both of these prior to action being taken at the state level?
So the legislature reconvenes from their summer recess next Monday on the 18th, and your next council meeting is on the 25th. I anticipate that you would be able to meet and approve any opposition letter before they take action, certainly before before the governor signs the legislation. So we can get you letter of opposition to both the legislature and also to the governor, urging his veto if it does get signed.
Perfect, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
No, I was on vacation with a toothache when National Night was out, so it was not a very good vacation, but it was a vacation. But I appreciate everybody, what you guys do for us. I really do. So thank you.
My family attended our Yucaipa National Night Out. I was tactical incident commander for Azusa's National Night Out, so I wasn't able to be here for that one, but it was well reviewed, so good job, everybody, to include the school district as well. My niece brought home some Yucaipa Joint Unified School District stickers. They're in the inside of my dryer right now, so that's cool. The 25th is our next meeting. I will be attending the National Homeland Security Conference in DC. It's not going to stop me from attending like I did before virtually. How do we do that? I call in. It'll be 3 hours ahead of, it'll be 9 p.m. when I'm logging in for your guys' 6 p.m. meeting because it'll be in DC, but we're going to make it work. You paid overtime for that, right? Right, yeah. So no, I'm looking forward to that. I reached out to our congressman's office. I'm going to be touring the Supreme Court, the White House, and the Capitol, meeting our congressman staff in DC and putting face to names with those folks. I'll be doing work for the city as well, not just the Homeland Security Conference, but yeah, you're not going to see my face, but you'll hear my voice at the next meeting. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that. And outstanding work by our city staff as always. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Acting City Manager Fermin, any announcements?
Nothing at this time.
I do have a quick go back. I'm sorry.
No, you're done.
Sorry. I'll send an email if you like. I would like to ask that staff bring us something regarding an ordinance for solicitation, door-to-door solicitors. If there's any.
That was good. I was going to mention that. I forgot about it. Good job.
See, it's a good thing you let me have a go back then, huh, Mr. Mayor? All right. I digress.
Okay. All right, as Councilman, we've already stated, our next meeting is Monday, August 25th. With that, we are adjourned. Current time is 8:09.
Mayor, in confirming you're adjourning to closed session.
We are going back to closed session. Thank you.
Thank you.